Hi everybody. Today we're going to talk about the annotated bibliography. We're starting the Chem R&E project and you're going to be doing some research. In the end, at the very end, when you do your final paper, you're going to have a normal APA style reference list. This stage right here, this first assignment, is for you to show that you found good quality sources for you to get, from which you'll get your information, or at least you'll start to get your information. The way that you're going to show that you found these sources is by creating an annotated bibliography using APA style. Now, the only qualifier there is that our annotated bibliography is slightly different from the one that you'll see as an example here, and if you look up references for an APA style annotated bibliography, ours is going to be different. Let me explain. Okay, first of all, the citation, of course, is normal. It's a standard APA style citation here, and the easiest thing, now pay close attention here. I'm your teacher. I'm the one that's going to grade this. I'm telling you what I look for. It's really obvious, but I want you to know this now so that you do your best work and do it correctly and get a good grade. Okay, so this part of the start of the citation is at the left-hand margin. It's not indented at all. It's at the left-hand margin of the page. You're using 12-point Times New Roman font, double spacing throughout. Okay, now, so the first part of the citation is at the left-hand margin. If the citation takes more than one line, which most of them do, anything after the first line is indented 5 spaces from that margin, right? So your citation would go along like this, and if it had a third line, that would be here also, and so on, right? Now, when you get to the annotation, it's going to be a paragraph. Your annotation paragraph should be indented another 5 spaces underneath this one right here. Okay, so you're coming in 5 spaces for this, every line after the first line of the citation, and then you're going to come in another 5 spaces for all of the annotation paragraph. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, in a APA style annotation, there's 2 parts. The first part describes the material that's in the source. The second part of a standard APA style citation explains how it's a reliable source. Describes the author, talks about their methodology, that kind of stuff, and convinces the reader that this is a good source, right? Listen carefully. Our annotation is going to be different. The first part of our annotation will be the same as this first part. You're going to tell about the source, tell about the content that the source is providing. The second part of the annotation is where you tell the reader, how this source is going to help you complete your assignment, how it's going to be helpful to you in learning about your topic. Okay? Now, let's do the numbers. In your citation, in your annotation, you've got your regular citation first, then the annotation. Your annotation total needs to be at least 5 sentences, right? At least 5 sentences. The first part of it, which will be at least 2 sentences and possibly 3, is where you talk about what's in the content of the source, right? And the second part, also 2 to 3 sentences, is where you talk about how it helps you in your study. But somehow, between those 2 parts, one of them's got to be at least 3 sentences so that you end up with at least 5 sentences. Okay, do the math. The first one's got to be at least 2 sentences. The second part's got to be at least 2 sentences. Well, one of them's got to be 3 to make a total of 5. okay? Then you've got to have 5 separate entries, right? 5. Each person in the group needs to generate 5 bibliographic citations, 5 sources, right? Here's the other tricky part. You have to coordinate with your other group members. You cannot have duplications of sources. If one person in the group goes to either the physical textbook, right? We have a physical textbook for chemistry that I've talked about. If you have access to this book, it's a great source. Textbooks are generally very reliable sources, right? If one of you uses, this as a source, nobody else in the group can use it. This can only be used as a source one time in the entire group. And the same thing with the online textbook that Mr. Lodahl recommended to you. If somebody's using that can only be used one time. Now, it's okay, this is separate from the online one. So somebody could use this one and somebody could use the other one. That's fine. But each source, listen carefully now, and Mr. Street, again, I'm the guy that grades your assignment. I'm the one that's giving you the requirements. No source can be repeated, can only show up one time amongst the entire group. So I'm going to look at the entire group's submission together. Say, oh, look, student 1 used this source one time. I'm going to look at student 2 and 3. And of course, within your 5, and within any individual's 5 entries, you can't repeat this source. You can't say, oh, well, I use, page 55 for one of my sources and page 57 for another one of my sources. No, that doesn't count. That still would count in Mr. Street's calculation as one entry, okay? So, to refresh our memories, 5 bibliographic entries for each person, 15 total if you have like 3 people, which most groups do. 5 for each person. In the annotation, 5 sentences at least. First part of it is talking about the content. Second part is talking about how it's useful to you for your assignment and for your study of your topic. Okay? Do not, even though it's counterintuitive, do not make yours just like the example that's given here, right? This one is using normal APA style for the annotation. For our class, we're doing a modified style of the APA style annotation, okay? Of course, you can always, get in touch with me if you have a question about this, and I'll be glad to, look at it with you or whatever. That's fine. And of course, then your annotation will be a total of at least 5 sentences per source. Okay, thanks for listening. God, do a great job. I know you will.